later.
No, let's go.
Put myself on mute.
Monkeys.
I'm literally completely vindicated for calling these monkey movies the entire time because of this, and then putting donkey on the back of the collaborator ones. Like I'm so like I haven't seen these before, but I'm 100% fantastically glad that I was right by calling them monkey movies from the beginning. Like we care about the science as much as they do.
I think we all commented on Ape Apocalypse Now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once they thought of it, how can you resist, right?
I would have done that. I would have. Of course.
I kind of dug him shaving his head. That was cool.
The first thing I got to compliment.
He's got the cup. He comes
the
out.
CG in this film is just jaw dropping. It's so good.
Finally get chimps that look like chimps, and you finally the hair works well.
The second one was pretty good at that.
Maurice somehow looks
a weak link in the
Maurice somehow looks better in this. Like
yes.
Maurice is the most reasonably look like. Bad Ape is pretty good.
Is he the orange one?
Yes.
Yeah, he's the orangutan.
Orangutan, yeah.
And Bad Ape in his costume of snowboard instructor who's going to try to fuck your girlfriend is also like that is fantastic.
Also, good call on Steve Zahn voicing that. It was perfect.
I'm like, why is this character so good throughout the whole movie? And then it was like, I saw it go by, his name go by at the end.
Steal the movie or what?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like when he throws the gun out and then he throws the fucking the binoculars out. He's just like, this is what I got. I don't know. Like,
there's just a tiny scene where he's looking at the binoculars backwards.
They're so tiny.
So tiny. Stupid, but it's wonderful.
Thank God there's some comic relief in this thing. These are so grim, you guys.
It is.
There is so much pathos, grim. So much unearned pathos.
I don't think they're grim as much as they're just pedestrian.
Serious? I think they're self-serious.
Back yourself up.
He's not wrong.
I mean, I like the like I was so happy that Tad loved the Before trilogy as it went on, and I think I sort of had the reverse effect with it. Like, not that I liked the first movie, but I sort of started getting bored with this as it went on. I think maybe the second one was my favorite, but this one I was just like, I don't care anymore. And everything you're saying is so obvious. Everything you're saying is so obvious, and that's what I mean by pedestrian. This thing is just so like, yeah, okay, I get it. And like, why is it this long? And why is it taking so long?
Oh my god, it's too long.
I mean, I get what they're going for in like 10 seconds, and I understand, and I'm not compelled anymore. And I think it's like, at first I was like, less humans, more apes. And then they said, okay, more apes. And now I'm like, more humans, like less apes. And I thought Woody, I mean, they finally gave a human character something more to do, because the first one was actually
scene where he talks about shooting his own son is fucking wild.
It's wild. It's almost like, though, I was like, you're the performance there was subtle, which I like, but it still wasn't quite on the mark.
For this movie, it is top tier of what they could get out of this. Like,
but also, I'll just say this out of the gate, and then you guys can discuss. But I am on team human, like no matter what in my world. Like, so remember the like, I don't like the fact that animals would ever win in any movie ever, because I am an animal, but I am of the human race.
That's right.
So, remember fuck you if you're an animal.
Elephant Man Jared here.
Remember the X-Men movies back in the previous decade?
Yeah.
Those films had us rooting for our own extinction.
Right.
Yeah, it was so weird.
No, so do these. Except for Jared's case.
They're trying. Well, that's the thing, is like, it's so obvious that they're trying to, and I'm like,
they had us rooting. No,
not so much.
The X-Men movies, if you're actually paying attention to who the good guys and the bad guys are in that, are having you root for peace between the two. To live together.
I would always root for peace, and I wish they would have left them alone in the
although
the
evolutionary,
this movie is absolutely not rooting for peace on either side. Like, Caesar is trying, but you can tell he's already lost that war. Like, you can already.
He says it in dialogue.
He says it. He's lost himself to rage. He's like Koba now. That's the thing. Also, this scene behind
Which is why you keep seeing Koba in the dream sequence.
I know, and this scene behind me with the
Just to hit that nail on the head a little bit.
about
Bam!
we lose it's a holy war. That scene
Also, though, but
was
why
in
wouldn't
the
he just
trailer
smoke
because
him
it's so-
immediately? Like, it's so dumb.
No,
would
because
just
he has to
smoke him.
prove because he says you're superior to us. He has to prove that he's
He
superior.
needs
in
the
that.
monkeys to finish the wall.
Yeah.
Well, he succumbs to.
That came in really handy when they all flew in with helicopters and blew the shit out of
Okay,
them.
And then
stop.
immediately got fucked up. They
Okay,
just
John,
get-
right
It
right
should have
there.
been playing
Here's
Wagner.
Here's the problem.
Yeah.
I actually
The
love
only thing was missing, Jim.
You know what? I
Oh,
love
Chris
this-
didn't
I love
disappoint.
that-
Yay.
I love this film in terms of like, in terms of how it was put together and how the action worked. But this film has two, not one, but two Deus Ex Machinas in it.
The Deus Ex
The-
Avalanche.
Yeah, the avalanche that was
Monkey
the
Ex
second part,
Machina.
but also the everything blowing up. The ammo depot blowing up beforehand. There was
Yeah.
two
God.
different events that moved in the monkey's favor, well, Apes' favor.
And
No, they're
They
monkeys.
had
Fuck
nothing
you.
to do with. That had nothing to do with it. Just
and asked us to really suspend our disbelief.
yeah.
And this
Why is
movie-
everything
Caesar
just
does
blowing
get
up?
that-
Big
Caesar
ass.
Does
That's
that,
a huge
does get
ass.
that grenade.
It's
Caesar
it's
does
just
get
that if you're
grenade.
gonna say something profound, which I think that
These movies
these
are not saying anything profound.
of course they're not. These are not.
don't.
These are very simpleton.
Don't
That's
even
what I
have
mean
this
by-
conversation.
That's what I mean
Just-
by pedestrian and simpleton. But they're saying something, and I get that.
Mm.
But
No,
here's
no,
the thing: if you're going to,
They're
if you're
saying
going
we
to
should
have,
fight the smart apes. That's
well,
what they're saying. Like,
they're
there's
not earning. They're not earning much. And I'll give you one example,
No.
which is when the big
I don't think
ape
they need to though.
puts a flower in her hair, and then literally 3 seconds later he dies, and she puts the flower back. I'm like, you didn't earn. Like, if that had been at the end of the movie,
Right.
yeah, okay. But you're
Yeah.
gonna do it literally about 3 seconds later.
You're
Fuck
spending
you. It doesn't work.
you're spending far too much energy caring about anything that happens in this. Like that's I'm sorry. Like this is fucking popcorn. Like there's nothing
Yes,
there's
that's
no
my point.
substance. There's
But
no
it's
my
not
substance
point.
tasty popcorn.
here. It's occasionally tasty popcorn.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
get- you get-
it is.
it's like if they put if they
I
if-
enjoyed all the three of these movies. I would say I enjoyed all three of these movies, but
I'll
I would
agree.
say I didn't enjoy this one.
my opinion about these movies is as it
I
has
liked the
been
first
the
two, I
entire
think.
time. They're fine.
Of course, it's correct.
they're fine.
I thought
They're
that
fine.
because of the double Ex Machina endings, I thought this is the weakest writing of all three of them.
I wish
Because
they would have leaned into.
You need to go back and
Look-
rewatch the first one.
No, no.
Look what's behind Tad when they're doing the platoon shit.
So funny. It's so, I was
but they
dying
should have
laughing.
leaned into that. It looks
No.
tacked on.
The first
looks
one-
tacked
Oh yeah,
on.
no, it does. And I was just dying with laughter.
It's all derivative anyway. It's like all Apocalypse Now and
No.
Platoon.
Also,
and,
the first one had that virus thing that was integral to the
But if
plot.
they had like leaned
Full
on
Metal
that
Jacket.
hardcore,
it works.
it's like they just want to
Right.
make a war movie really bad for some.
no, they want to make a fucking humans are.
No, Matt Reeves
Terrible.
wanted to make a bunch of money is actually what
You know what the most interesting thing is at the end is that it was this weird cornball version of the Ten Commandments. It's like I
Oh.
cannot go into the promised land.
I have a picture for that.
and I know. See, there it is. I'll wait.
Does-
I'll wait.
What? Just a moment, because I pulled this shot because I said to myself when I
Charlton
saw it.
Heston was in both Ape movies.
That's the
That's
thing.
true.
The Heston thing kind of works really
Charlton
well. with
Heston
him.
also has a Charlton
He
Heston
was
reads
also
the
in,
Bible.
Wayne.
that
When
you
I
can
saw
get.
this, I was like, "That looks like a friggin' Bible movie, man."
It was
Yeah,
at
looks
this
like,
point a Bible
Gone with the
movie,
Wind.
and
And actually, when you freeze it like this, it looks actually like a natural history museum exhibit.
It does
Yeah.
look like a
but it's
Bible.
actually the
Or
end.
like trying to be also a nod to 2001.
But it's
Okay.
also it's the end of the Ten Commandments.
too
Like I
fat.
cannot go into the promised land. I must stay here, and you guys must like
Yeah.
go to the desert. Yeah, so it's the same thing.
Yep.
And also that refers to
There's also it's so convenient that the
Boy,
avalanche
you guys
happened.
are overthinking this.
But I'll tell you what, you know what's
Yeah,
missing
yeah,
from
what
this?
choice do we got?
You know what's missing from these movies?
Get real drunk.
Let me get one more picture up.
I'll wait.
All
I
right.
want to know where they got all the horses. Where did they get all the horses?
Yeah, good
There's a
question.
lot of horses.
There are a lot of horses in Marin.
They broke it. All
And I
the
don't think there's that many
all the
horses.
bourgeois horse owners in San
I-
Francisco
John,
are
it's
dead,
not
and they
quite
went
that.
in there
so-
and just grabbed their horses.
John, I know. if
if you're arguing in favor of more conference room scenes, like in the first 3 Star Wars movies, I'm going to break my silence and argue with you.
Yeah, they went into like those great horse places up
We
around.
really need some fucking
Westbury
trade
County,
summits
the
in these
horses they keep.
movies.
Not
These movies are
specifically
missing trade
conference,
summits.
not specifically conference room. I'm talking about
Yeah, you have
tone.
to talk about trade embargoes. and
Yeah.
No, I'm
taxes.
talking about tone, and that's what I think I've put my finger on. Finally, is what's wrong with these movies.
So I guess where my point is with this kind of trilogy and with the zombie thing is sort of the notion that we want to see ourselves reflected back at us in a different way. With
And that's
certain...
what the original movie did so well.
Okay.
No, it
okay.
didn't.
You know what's interesting in this film is that it's actually kind of works
agree,
towards
John.
the original 16
Thank you, Jim.
movie, in that you're trying to establish the
But
fact
I think that's a zombie thing too. So anyway,
all human-
different though, in a different way.
that all human beings are eventually going to become these mute like people that were in that first movie that behind John. And
Right.
in that film, the humans couldn't speak.
It's,
That-
it's interesting.
and they were basically chattel. They were cattle to the
Was her name
Nova. Yes.
Nova.
It was.
Yeah, they absolutely setting up.
The references are super hard in this thing about what's going to happen to everybody.
Well, there's astronauts that are missing on Mars or something in the first
yeah.
one. And then they got this girl who's a mute, and they name her Nova. It's
that
absolutely-
virus that makes you.
And
go
then they
mute.
never made a sequel to this, so it all goes to fuck.
Actually, they're working on a 4th one.
Are
Okay.
they?
Okay,
They
Chris.
should have a little kid in the middle of this movie squash a banana and then yell, "I'm doing my part."
Oh, nice! Oh, the RoboCop reference. That's beautiful.
It's
Okay,
not
Chris,
RoboCop.
you've been quiet long enough.
I'm going to let Jim
That's
go.
Starship Trooper.
Yeah, take it, Jim.
Goddamn Starship Troopers.
I enjoyed it for what it was. I didn't think it was pretending to be anything else but
Nope.
some sort of entertainment. I didn't think it was too
Popcorn.
long. I didn't think it was too short.
It is too.
It's too
How
long.
can you fault CGI for bad acting? I mean, it's CGI.
I'm gonna disagree with you. For
Yeah, because
a
there's
moment
voice
there,
actors doing that.
because I actually think that Andy Serkis's performance in this is spectacular.
It is.
Like I think
Orangutan as well. And
yes, Maurice.
I actually
Is,
think Andy
Maurice
Serkis
is
gets kind of
obviously-
boring in this one.
Maurice
I think
is
Steve
obviously
Zahn
the
steals it.
star.
Although
Maurice is
Caesar,
obviously the star of this entire
Yeah.
series.
Caesar is so
Like-
sour in this film. He's
Yeah,
so,
I thought.
Well, he got burned out.
I actually think Andy
Second
Serkis is
one.
better in the second one, and he's
Wow.
kind of bored me in this one.
That's the fault of the tone. They slaughter his whole family in the beginning. Nothing that horrible happens in the original Planet of the Apes movie.
not really. No.
You don't
The
know
body
that.
count in these things is
You
just.
don't know. You don't know that.
That was
You-
actually one of the best
Yeah, but
scenes.
it's
Though, is
off
when
screen,
he
it's
sees him in
handled
slow
differently.
motion, and
But
I like that scene.
it leaves him so sour and so angry that you can't
Yeah.
really kind of.
Well,
you
because
I
I was
don't-
a
I
because I'm
wanna- I
a
want to have more fun with these things, you know.
because I'm pro-human. I loved when that scene happened because
Oh,
they
human.
show
Anybody who picks
they show the Cheers bartender in
Muttering
slow
in
motion,
fear.
and he's like,
I heard that, Jim. That's a good joke.
Okay, Chris, tell us where we're wrong.
Well, no, I mean, all right. So, objectively, having watched all 3 of these now in order, I think I've come around. I think I do like.
How did
I-
you watch them
I like
originally?
the second. I think the second one's my favorite.
I
This-
saw them all in theaters myself. How about you?
I saw all 3 of them in theaters. So this is what I like about these movies. I like that in an IP era where we are constantly inundated with tentpole reboots that cost bajillions of dollars.
Millions of stars in them.
I appreciated that this movie stuck to its guns, particularly once you got to the second and third one of
Literally.
taking the subject matter extremely seriously. Maybe it's too grim, but I actually found the tone of these movies extremely refreshing. I found the lack of plot contrivances, again, like I think it started with.
but here's the thing: if you're going, there's nothing wrong with a grim tone, and we know a lot of us love a grim tone. What we're saying is, you better have substance to back it up, because if you don't have substance to back up your grim tone,
I think
then it's empty.
And I'm anti-human, and I'm rooting for the apes. And
Because you're pro-animal.
I'm extremely anti-human, rooting for the apes. I found that, I mean, like, let's face it, Woody Harrelson's practically the only human speaking part in the third movie. which I also thought was
And they also give him more to do than they did any human. Well, not the first one, but the second one, almost no humans spoke as much
there's
as him.
plenty of humans talking. It's just I
there's-
they
what's his
basically
name,
whittled it
Clark?
all down to Woody, and I thought that was also
He nails that Ed Harris impersonation.
I thought that the callbacks to the original movies
I think
were
it should just be
They're all.
Sam
You want to cast Ed Harris? How about Woody? Oh,
Right.
sold.
He again, as
Can
I
he shave
said,
his head?
as
Woody
I said in the
shave his head,
chat,
right, he does
nail
Safeway
the
select,
Woody
Safeway
Harrelson
select,
thing,
Ed Harris.
Oh, I heard that.
Kirkland brand Ed
I
Harris.
don't know. That's
No, I love
that's
Woody
a weak-
Harrelson
that's
for
a
the
I love Woody
record.
Harrelson too, but I love Woody Harrelson and like True Detective season
Look,
1.
I'm
Woody
going to say this
Oh,
again. I'm
yeah,
going to say
that's
this.
good.
I'm going to say this for the record. This is the sequel to Cheers. Okay. There's
Yeah,
no
this is
more
where the
Fuck
bartender.
up, man.
This
What
is,
happened to
damn
Woody?
Cliff Clavin started this whole society, and he
Oh my
died
God.
and was taken over by
Stop talking.
by Woody Boyd, and he just kind of running this. I'm watching a lot of Cheers lately. I'm sorry, man. I had to say that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm writing this down right now as a clip.
No,
You know,
that's
David
not the clip.
DeVito
Oh,
did
that's not the
Because
clip.
you don't get fucking credit.
That is
for
not the
that,
clip.
Actually,
I want the credit.
that's.
I know you
more-
want the credit
That
for
was
it.
my
Woody
huge
writing down.
insight.
No credit.
That
No,
was
that
my
comparison.
amazing
That
insight about
comparison
the
is
clip.
moronic, and you that no, that's not the clip.
Okay, fine. You win. All right. Now it's the anti-clip.
That's
Actually,
not a
you know
real
what I
thing.
liked about this movie was the quest part of it. Before it got to the army camp and went back to fighting and stuff, and also it's kind of a prison break story, which we already saw in the first one. Just when they were out, sort of on the road, and there wasn't quite enough of that, but that to me was like the most refreshing part of it, where they found the girl and
Mhm.
that stuff.
Yeah, it is almost like The Road or something like that. At a
Almost.
certain point.
Yeah, or The Last of Us when they were
You walk by a big
No,
Coke
but
truck
not
and
as
like,
good.
nice,
as
nice product. There's
either
a,
of those.
Yeah, no, it's not as good as either of those. That's correct.
they ride their horses by a big Coke truck that was abandoned on the side of the road. It's like that's some nice placement because you're gonna get up and go there.
Well, they got
It was the
Chevron.
best
They got
product
Chevron in the
placement
second
I've
one.
seen
Yeah,
in
yeah,
a
same
long
there.
while.
Yeah.
But you can't fill up your tank while you watch a movie. You can get a Coke in the lobby though, so that's a big thing.
You can
And
get some
I wasn't
Chevron right
particularly-
outside of the Cineplex. So
True, good point. All right, I think we're ready. Are we ready to go to cards?
I'm no, I don't have anything else to say. Thanks.
I mean, if you
Chris,
want to keep
pal.
defending yourself,
Chris,
you can
Chris.
definitely.
I can't get a word in edgewise, you fucking bastard.
Oh, okay.
I know
Well,
That's what you get for
how
being
you
quiet the
feel.
whole
Well, it's not called whispering.
All right,
about
what else
movies.
you got? What else you got, Chris? What-
No, I mean, I find I what you guys don't like about this movie is the thing I love about this movie.
Fair enough.
All right.
You mean everything? Is that
You
what-
like the
No, I
runtime?
just-
all right, stop. Okay, we're going to cards right now. Come on.
you like that
There's
it's
not
like
enough. There's
simplistic?
not enough Animal Farm in this. It's
All
like it's just too heavy for me.
Yeah, they should
Vote,
renamed
vote,
Caesar
people,
Stonewall.
vote.
It's
They did
no,
that in the-
I
they
think
did
the
that in the
consensus
second
is
one.
it's
They did that
so
in the second
heavy
one.
but yet saying nothing. So what is the point?
I was
What is
entertained
there
by
to
this film
say?
beginning to end. It's like it's a popcorn film. Don't think about too much.
Exactly.
Just have a good time,
It's
man.
Sure.
fine.
It's
Yes,
fine.
It's a fine
It's
film.
it's not the worst movie I've ever seen or anything.
Wow.
Not even
Yeah,
close
there
to
you
the
go.
worst movie I've seen this week.
Focus. It's in color. The sound is good. We're good
was in
to go,
focus.
man.
It's kind of boring though.